When Thanksgiving rolls around again, you know kids just start thinking about one thing. That's right, time to make an even wackier ice rink. Oh, that'll make those little guys happy. So I was very interested when this month a major publication published a story about how to build your own backyard ice rink. Now, I can't tell you which magazine this is, but it's very popular among mechanics. Now, I'm no expert, and we just kind of jerry-rig an ice rink to fit our backyard every year just for fun. But I did want to see the right way to do it, so I bought this month's Opular Pay Mechanics May. Oh boy, was I embarrassed to learn that I've been doing things all wrong all this time. Now, right off the bat, I'm in trouble because they got an architect to bring some computer-generated rink design and to measure the slopes with a sextant or something. Oops. Now, I'm ashamed to admit that we didn't have the money to spend to buy pressure-treated 2-inch thick lumber the way the magazine's expert did in Ann Arbor to build a stout retaining wall. And I must confess that we just keep reusing our same cheap pine 1x8s, 1x10s, and 1x12s year after year. We also keep reusing our same cheap garden stakes and 2x4s to hold up the pine boards. We also didn't have the money to spend on steel tie plates or steel stakes, and we certainly didn't have time to bother custom cutting and fitting the boards to the ground. We just use all 8-foot boards, and we lay them out wherever they best fit. So I gathered a work crew together, and we started off on this tough job. But how did we account for a 3-foot slope in the backyard, you might ask? We use the very latest in do-it-yourself tools, constructed and calibrated with most advanced scientific technology available and precision engineered to the most exacting standards of fine Italian carpentry anywhere. Next, we carefully line up our computer-designed stakes wherever we want to, and wherever they seem to fit best. Just pound a couple stakes in the ground and start lining up your 1x8s and your 1x12s, and then you can see where the next one goes. Just lean it on there, and if it doesn't fit, you don't have to cut any boards. You can just overlap the last two. Hint, they always seem to fit somehow okay. Now, we do always like to try something new and wacky every year, and this year it's pretty wacky. This year we're trying covering the boards with cheap white muslin cotton cloth. Yes, I know. Why? Well, the idea is that sometimes ice sticks to wood, but sometimes it melts off pretty quickly. I have always wanted to see what Black Friday was like for shopping, and this year my wife brought me to Joann Fabric so that we could buy some white muslin. It was a trip. My thinking was that the white cloth would help the ice melt more slowly around the edges, but especially white cloth seems to let ice impregnate very well into the sides. And the best thing that happened last year was sometimes thick layers of ice would form around corners and edges and would hold water as tight as an aquarium. This made some of the best ice we've ever had. You can just let layers overlap, no need to actually sew them together. We started off trying sewing the corners and sewing around each different stake in the ground. We laid it over the garden wall, and you can see the 3 different ways we tried. First, stitching corners and edges together, which was fun, but I think unnecessary. Then we stitched some around behind the boards to hold them up. Eventually, though, it seems like the easiest way to do this is just nip a little hole in the top and pull it down over each board. It would be pretty easy to sew those little holes shut in the springtime when we put the cloth away for next year. We got a little fabric crazy and covered everything that didn't move, like the garden wall has cloth on it and this little hill of grass. That may not freeze over, and we may have to just cover that with snow to keep kids off of it. I used 1 or 2 staples here and there, but I'm really afraid a staple might fall out and a child might step on it, so really just 1 or 2 here and there. And now we wait. Is it just me, or does the globe seem to have, I don't know, a higher degree of heat lately? Maybe producing or imparting or maintaining an increased level of hotness? I could just be imagining things, but doesn't the world seem to have more thermal energy in moderate degrees, displaying a certain decrease in, shall we say, hoped-for seasonal coolness? I don't know, fostering a sensation of gentle glowing hotability while communicating a moderate degree of high temperature with a marked prevalence of warmitude and a concomitant lack of coldosity? Maybe I'm just crazy, but didn't December used to seem colder? Wait a minute, what's this? Almost Christmas? Colder temperatures and real snow? Wahoo! Time to get out the expensive snow compacting equipment. I guess wherever you live now, you could have a hot spell during the winter at any time, December, January, February, March. And sure, it might melt a lot of the ice that you just made, but I think you just have to believe and make your best guess and go for it. And always hire good ice workers who are willing to work hard at any time, day or night. And most important of all, you need a very dedicated crew. One that won't be caught lying down on the job, goofing around. One that will work seriously and get the job done. Alright, now back to work making ice. Now, from the magazine, I learned that up in Ann Arbor there, they have what they call soul-sucking winters. We've been having soul-sucking winters around here too, just without the soul part. With winters becoming more and more unpredictable, I think our best chance at keeping ice most of the winter is to just tromp down the snow, use a sprinkler to build one thin layer of ice at a time, and then, even if it gets warm, the ice usually survives. Now, unless you have the NHL coming and installing refrigerated coolant tubes on your lawn, I don't know if anyone could guarantee that you'll keep ice during a warm spell in the winter. But here's some guidelines that seem to work for us. We make ice with the sprinkler, and usually we make ice at night. For that, you need the thermometer to fall below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 7 below nil for our friends who speak in centigrade. With a temperature right around 20 degrees, you can leave the sprinkler on for about 1 hour in one spot. If it's warmer than that, you could only leave the sprinkler on for, say, 30 minutes. Otherwise, the water would just melt the ice you're already making, and it would run off down the hill into the grass. If the temperature gets way below 20, say around 10 degrees, you could leave the sprinkler on for hours on end, and you could make more than a half inch, maybe even 3/4 of an inch of ice in one night. And if the temperature is down around 10 or below, you could even make ice with the sprinkler during the day. You get some pretty big ice dams on the sides of the wall. I think these will help hold in the water for later. Look how thick. And when you do finally get some snow, it might be a good idea to pack it in along the boards, especially if you have high boards around the back like we do here. It just might help hold the water in so it can freeze better. Now, we got pretty lucky with 4 or 5 cold nights in a row, so we got to make a lot of ice. A little blizzard blew through town right after Christmas. But then, uh-oh. Tut-tut, it looks like rain. On New Year's Day, it started raining. Temperature was in the high 40s for several days. Would this be enough to melt all the ice we made over Christmas break? There's a silver lining in all this. When it rains, it smooths out all the crevices. So, to recap, even though the temperature may be in the 30s during the day, as long as it gets nice and cold at night, definitely under 20, you can pack down the snow, start using the sprinkler, and eventually the ice starts to get thick enough and the little crevices in the ice start to fill in. Then it's time to switch to the Zamboni. That's right. But remember, wet ice gets pretty darn slippy, and believe you me, you don't want to fall down on the rock-hard ice in the middle of the night. I know what you're thinking, but that's not going to happen to me. That advice is just for clumsy people. Right. The Zamboni is basically just a piece of PVC pipe with holes drilled in the end, but remember, shuffle your feet. Frozen wet ice, especially going downhill, is quite slippy. Then, as soon as the ice seems strong enough, send the kids out to skate on it. Now, I know it's a little lumpy to start with, but they get used to it pretty quick. Then when you Zamboni it every day, it just gets flatter and smoother and harder. You can see we've still got over a foot of ice to fill in at the bottom of the hill, but if you Zamboni it twice a day, maybe even 3 times, it'll fill in over the next week or so. Exhausting? No, I don't think so. Really, it's a good dad job. It gives you something to do. You're sure not going to be mowing the lawn for a few months. This has not been ideal weather. It's been above freezing every day so far, but cold enough at night so you can make it work. If you just Zamboni 1 or 2 layers a day, it'll fill in eventually over a few weeks. And this way the kids are already skating and having fun. But don't take my word for it. You could go buy some big fancy mechanics magazine, but I don't really think you need an engineer to make ice in the winter. Basically, you just need cold weather and water. And I think you really don't need an architect or computer design plans or special kits or even sextants. Yes, all in all, I'd have to say I found this magazine article very useful. I'm really no expert. We're just out there goofing around, having fun. I hope you can learn from our ideas and certainly from our mistakes. Now, what are you waiting for? Get out there and make some ice. Happy winter to you.
Le soleil, je l'entends déjà. T'es pas loin, il est là, derrière le bois. Tip, tip, le soleil va chasser l'hiver. Et l'hiver va nous jouer la fille de l'air. Tip, tip, la couleur du ciel a changé. Ce n'est plus gris et blanc, mais bleu métallisé. Tip, tip, les petites fleurs qui montrent leur nez. C'est Monsieur Winter qui les avait enterrés. Oh. Monsieur Winter, Monsieur Winter, Monsieur Winter, go home, home. Hip, hip, la rivière, elle était gelée, tenue dans la vallée, immobilisée. Hip, hip, la rivière, je l'entends craquer, elle est prête à dévaler, décristalliser. Hip, hip, la forêt se passe la soleil, hip, hip, ça c'est sûr, ça sent le printemps. Monsieur Winter s'en va, cavaler devant. Monsieur Winter, Monsieur Winter, Monsieur Winter, go home. Hip, le vin blanc. Plus de relire le règlement. Bien de seul. Ravidant, démobilisé, comme un petit Robinson, des Crusoe. Et voilà, c'est tout le ciel. Monsieur Winter s'en va se fondre au soleil. Oh, hey, Monsieur Winter.